on the PWR app, on the website, on your smart speakers, and we are live right now on the Pure West Radio Facebook page as well. And we are going to meet our guest now, Mel Rawsthorne, who is a powerlifter from Houghton, who has just represented Wales in a sport that she only took up 18 months ago. It's a brilliant story, and we're going to find out a bit more about it. Mel, welcome to Pure West Sport. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're really good, thank you. And it's a great story. We were talking off air, and your journey that you're on is absolutely incredible. So we'll get into how you started in just a sec. But just before Christmas, you represented Wales, didn't you, for the first time at powerlifting?
Yeah.
Tell us about that and tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I was invited to represent Wales for the Small Nations competition. So that was up in Glasgow. So there's a team of 6 women and 6 men from Wales. And yeah, went up there. Honestly, I was just kind of excited to be there. I was waiting for people to figure out that I shouldn't be there. Yeah, I had a great time. Got PRs, like my best lifts in squat and deadlift, and I broke the Welsh deadlift record with my deadlift.
Tell us how much you lifted to break that record.
222.5 kilograms.
I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Smash that record that was in place, and to do that on your first time representing Wales, how did that feel, Mel?
Phenomenal, and it's really surreal, to be honest. But yeah, just amazing. And you're just in the moment when you powerlift. It's kind of you versus you. So it's only afterwards, once you finish the competition, that you kind of realise that there was like records you broke or anything else that went on. It's just amazing.
And when you went into that competition, was it in the back of your mind that, did you know what the record was, and did you feel it was potentially something you could take on?
Yes, yeah. Deadlift is, out of the 3 lifts, I'm definitely my specialist lift. So yeah, I was focusing on the deadlift, and I definitely wanted to beat that record. And I'm hoping to beat it again, because that was a comfortable 222.5, I'd say.
I love that. Fraser, come on.
Yeah, Mel, firstly, congratulations, a great achievement, and on representing Wales. And now you've had your first taste of international competition. What's the goal from here? Because you're just talking off air there. You're still almost not new to the sport, but you came into it late. There's still so much you can do. Do you have a target in mind now, longer term?
Yeah, so the Welsh total record for my category at the moment is 512.5 kilograms for 3 lifts.
Right.
And in the last comp, I got 502.5. So the next goal, it would be great if I could break that record.
I'm always intrigued with powerlifters, Mel, because correct me if I'm wrong, when you have your competitions, you're judged on the same 3 lifts each time, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's the squat, the deadlift, and the clean and jerk. Is that right?
Squat, deadlift, and bench press.
Bench press, sorry.
Yeah.
So when you're training, how much training do you do outside of those 3 categories, if that makes sense? Do you do weight training aside from deadlifts?
Yeah, you do. So most session you'll do one of those 3 lifts. Right. Actually, all of your sessions you'll do one of those 3 lifts. But then afterwards you do all the accessories, which kind of help with all those lifts. Probably 50-50 a session. You'll
do different exercises to build up strength to make you better at those lifts. Is that the theory?
Yeah, kind of depending on your weaknesses in those lifts. So then if you're good enough to know those weaknesses and know what you need to do outside of it, you'd coach yourself. But if you don't know, you get a coach and they tell you what to do.
And of course, it's so obviously based on strength and power, but people forget technically it's critical, isn't it? How you lift. Would you say that's more important than almost your actual strength at times?
It's definitely more important for injuries. So if you go in kind of ego lifting without having the technique down, that's where you're going to get the injuries. And in the competitions, there's certain standards. So if you don't squat deep enough, you get no lift. If you don't wait for the commands, you get no lift. So all of that's really important to kind of ingrain in your training, because otherwise on the competition day, you forget all of that stuff because you're just nervous.
Gordon.
Yeah, Mel, fantastic, brilliant, great that you've broken the record. But we were talking off air, and I just want to go back to that a little bit. You went to school in Tasker Millwood in Haverfordwest. Did you participate in any of the sport there, the school curriculum, or?
Yeah, so I played quite a bit of hockey, team hockey, and then I did do a little bit of shot putting. But that didn't stick for me.
The reason why I ask you, I am aware there's a weightlifting club in Tasker Millwood. You never attended that.
or maybe I'm a bit old, maybe it came in after I left, but it definitely wasn't there when I was in school, because I have found powerlifting quite late on, and I would have loved to have found it earlier on for sure.
Yeah, what is inspiring is that you've come into sport new, really, and new, you know, it's something that you enjoy doing, and then
Yeah.
18 months down the line, you're representing your country. It just goes to show there's a sport for everyone, and certainly powerlifting has definitely been your forte.
Absolutely. I'm probably known for not particularly sticking to things, and I've made powerlifting my entire personality at this point, so I'm stuck with that.
I am interested, because Gordon said you come into it recently, only 18 months ago you took it up, Mel. So I'm sure there'll be people watching and listening, and I'd probably count myself in there as someone who would like to probably do a bit more strength work. What was it like to walk into the gym for the first time and take up powerlifting? How did that even happen?
Yeah, there's a great gym that I joined in Cardiff called Coliseum, and it's just the best community I've ever been involved in. So they do strength and conditioning classes, so it's like 30 minutes of a lift at the start of the class and 30 minutes of cardio afterwards. And I think it was my birthday maybe 2 years ago, I decided I needed to do more because I was doing nothing. And I went in and I started these strength and conditioning classes. And the first one was deadlifting, and the coach came over and said, "Oh, where have you been training for deadlift before this?" And I said, "Oh no, it's my first strength class." And he said, "No, before you trained here, where have you been training?" And I was like, no, this is like the first real time I've trained deadlift. He was like, "That is not normal."
So how long did it take before you realised, actually, I'm quite good at this?
It wasn't that long, because when you don't know a thing, you don't know what good looks like, does it? Like I didn't do weight training at all, so I didn't know what a good lift was comparatively. But the coaches were brilliant. They, like every session, they'd say, "You're doing really well." And there's one coach in particular, Ash, who said to me one day, like, if you think about competing, you'd be competitive. But what I would say with powerlifting is that there's no minimum weight you have to be lifting before you compete. It's a really kind of inviting sport. If you like it, go and have a go at it. And the competitions, you can go and compete, and it's you for you when you first start as well. So that's a really satisfying bit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How's in the build up to a competition, especially the morning competition, how's your diet impacted? Are you under instructions to eat more calories and eat certain foods?
Yeah, so my diet's probably something I've got to focus on now. I've been doing it a little bit longer. I've been winging it up until now. But yeah, it's carbs the night before, and it's lots. I don't feel like eating really at all on the day of the comp. I'm just nervous. So it's lots of kind of energy drinks, quick carbs like fruits or sweets. And then you're meant to eat something like pasta at lunchtime. But again, I'm never hungry. I can't stomach any of that.
I was actually, you mentioned nerves there. I was going to come on to that, because obviously it's a sport where it's almost you against yourself, isn't it? You know, you trying to perform that lift and you've got to block out everything around you. But how easy is that to do when you're in an international competition? I assume you've got a crowd, you've got international competitors watching you, you know, in a competitive environment. How easy is it just to block everything out and just simply focus on performing the lift?
It's got progressively harder, I think, as I've got a bit better, because especially the squat is the first lift you do in a competition, which is always the one I'm worried most technically. You've got to hit depth, and if you're nervous, you rush your way through it and you might not get it. But that's why training is so important. You just train and you keep doing it, so it's like muscle memory. The less you think about it, the easier it gets. But there's some really good like live commentary on these powerlifting comps now as well. So the first competition I did for this federation that then went on to represent Wales for, you walked on the stage and there's like a spotlight on you and they've got commentators, and that was completely new to me, and I definitely messed up my first lift because of that. I just panicked. So it's just getting used to some of that stuff and not thinking about it really.
And do you have techniques for the mental side of it, Mel, that you use? Because you're almost having to like block out some of that background noise, and it's so important that you do, because obviously you trust your technique, but you're still lifting serious amount of weight. So if you lose that concentration for a second, you could injure yourself quite seriously, couldn't you? So how do you work through that?
I tend to nervous smile my way out onto the platform, and just try and think less, which luckily for me, I find quite easy. It's quite an empty brain up there.
Yeah, I don't think you're telling the truth about that one. Yeah. And the bit I was going to ask as well, obviously going back to when you started, and you've been on a real rapid journey to get to the level you have, but there'll be people watching who might want to have a go. What would you say, like, what are the benefits of doing strength training, both physically and mentally as well?
So mentally, it's now, I never had a great relationship with exercise. I'd say I'd always associated exercise with a means to an end to lose weight. So it was always something I had to do. And now it is like my safe space. So I prioritize going to the gym. I will change my social plans, which I never would have done before. So it's given me like a passion, like a sense of self as well. And the community, the people I've met and the support you get from it is just overwhelming. Genuinely, like I'm sure everyone says that, but I'm always blown away by how lovely people are, how supportive they are. And on the physical side of things, it's quite empowering, especially as a woman, to be like to strong and know you're getting stronger and just improving yourself. Your targets are just what you make them, and when you win, you're kind of celebrating with yourself. It's been incredible for me, like mentally and physically, and I would recommend it to anybody. And if you thought about doing it, nobody is looking at you in the gym. Nobody wants anything other than you to do really well.
That's amazing. 18 months ago, if someone had told you you'd be representing Wales and setting records at powerlifting, what would you have said?
Like, not, I hope. Absolutely not. No, I never would have believed them. I never would have believed them that kind of I'd stick to it, that I'd be so into it. So it's been so surreal, such a whirlwind. Can't believe it, really.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant.
Great story.
What's next?
On your mind, Matt?
Yeah, what's next, Matt?
Next is Luxembourg. So off to Luxembourg, beginning of March for a small nations competition. So hope to break the deadlift record there. And if I'm lucky, the kind of total record for Wales is my goal for the next one.
And what would that be?
That's a total of 512.5.
Across the three?
Across the three. Yeah. So it's quite a jump. Might be ambitious. But...
And that's in March, Mel?
Yeah, 2nd March.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, good luck with that, and hopefully you'll break that record and you'll come back onto Pure West Sport and tell us about another record that you broke, and that would be absolutely amazing. Listen, please keep up the great work, because it's an absolutely inspirational story, and we get these kind of stories on Pure West Sport from time to time, and you're one of them. So keep living that dream and keep doing it, because you're setting a great example for everyone watching and listening tonight. Thank you, Mel, for being with us. Congratulations on being a record holder, and good luck with what's to come. We are going to come back for the final part of tonight's Pure West Sport in just a few moments.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors.